Is the new Mandalorian and Grogu movie a thrilling cinematic masterpiece, or just a bunch of TV episodes stitched together with a massive budget? Today, we're cutting through all the noise and looking at the absolute truth about their big jump to theaters. It's been exactly 7 years since Star Wars was in theaters. And while Mando and Grogu are stepping onto the big screen to basically save the franchise, early reactions are, well, they're wildly split. Some people are calling it a thrilling cinematic masterpiece, while others are saying it's literally just 4 TV episodes stitched together with a massive budget. So today we're breaking down everything you actually need to know from the early screenings, and don't worry, this is totally spoiler-free. But hey, before we jump in, hit that like button to fuel our hyperdrive. Okay, so let's look at this core conflict that's dividing fans and critics right now. Coming out of the early theater screenings, we're seeing two completely different verdicts. On one side, you've got casual fans and reviewers walking out with massive smiles. They're comparing the joyous, magical vibe to the original trilogy, specifically the really fun, adventurous tone of Return of the Jedi. They're celebrating it as this great, feel-good comfort movie. But on the flip side, hardcore lore enthusiasts and traditional film critics are pointing at that 2-hour and 12-minute runtime, and they're arguing it feels way less like a propulsive feature film and much more like a truncated season 4 of a Disney Plus show. The source material reveals the super fascinating tug-of-war between high-budget cinematic spectacle and familiar episodic television storytelling. Chapter 1. The Spectacle. Now, if there's one thing absolutely everyone seems to agree on, it's that this does not look like a standard television show. I mean, the creators took their typical $150 million season budget and just concentrated the whole shebang into a single, massive theatrical event. And you can hear it right away. Ludwig Göransson is back to score the film, pivoting away from those familiar themes to deliver a driving, synth-heavy, almost Blade Runner-esque soundtrack that completely redefines the action sequences. It is a real game changer. And you can physically see that budget in the incredible tactile effects, too. Sources highlight that the practical stop-motion feel of the tiny Anzellan mechanics, the species we know from Babu Frick, they completely steal the show. The physical puppetry grounding Grogu and these little mechanics gives the movie a massive charm upgrade compared to some of those fully CGI alien encounters we've seen before. Actually, quick question for you all. Drop a comment right now and let us know if you plan to experience these massive IMAX set pieces for yourself. Seriously, according to multiple sources who attended the early screenings, the movie utilizes specific aspect ratio changes to visually expand the screen during major sequences. So checking this out in a premium large format is highly, highly recommended to fully absorb the world. Chapter 2. The Pacing Problem. Okay, here is where the divide really cracks open. Because this project reportedly evolved from the planned scripts for The Mandalorian Season 4, the DNA of a television show is heavily, heavily baked into the final product. To families, this is a brisk, thrilling matinee. But critics, they argue it treats Grogu way more like a helpless baby than an actual Jedi apprentice. Plus, Mando's character arc is incredibly static here. He acts largely as this invincible, stoic bounty hunter just moving from objective to objective. And despite Grogu having literally trained with Luke Skywalker, his Force abilities are mostly sidelined during combat. Sources note that Grogu struggles to do basic tasks like climbing a wall or operating ship buttons without Mando spoon-feeding him mechanical jargon. To critics, it feels like an excuse to keep him as a cute, merchandise-friendly baby rather than an evolving character. But, to families, this dynamic is exactly the kind of lighthearted fun they are paying to see. And honestly, you can practically feel where the episodic cuts would have been. Mando and Grogu start out on an ice planet hunting a remnant Imperial warlord, but that sequence feels completely disconnected from the rest of the film. From there, they transition into a gladiator arena side quest and then into space battles. It operates very much like a Monster of the Week narrative, rather than having any overarching galaxy-altering stakes. It's really just a cause-and-effect chain of missions. Chapter 3. Old Faces and New Enemies. Now, to make this movie super accessible to brand new viewers, it strips away a lot of that heavily serialized lore. You're not going to find massive connections to Ahsoka or Grand Admiral Thrawn here. Instead, the focus is strictly on a tightly contained roster of old faces and new adversaries. And wow, what a roster it is. We have sci-fi royalty Sigourney Weaver effortlessly blending into the universe as New Republic handler Colonel Ward, just completely eating up the Star Wars technical jargon. Then we have Jeremy Allen White stepping into the physically massive role of Rada the Hutt. Yup, Jabba's son. Through heavy voice synthesis, he plays this ripped gladiator-style Hutt trying to escape his father's dark shadow. He even executes a gator death roll in combat. I mean, no way, right? And finally, a massive treat for animated Clone Wars fans. The completely lethal assassin Embo shows up, complete with his signature hat and terrifying Anuba hound.
he proves to be a seriously formidable foil to Mando in close-quarters combat.
So this movie is definitely going to spark a lot of debates. If you have a friend who loves Star Wars, do us a huge favor and share this explainer with them right now. That way, they'll know exactly what to expect before heading to the theater. Because whether they are diehard lore fanatics or just big fans of Baby Grogu, this breakdown is going to set their expectations perfectly. Chapter 4. The Ultimate Theatrical Verdict. Looking at the big picture, the overarching sentiment from the early reviews is that this film represents a highly calculated, pretty risk-averse strategy by the studio. They're not trying to reinvent the wheel here, they're just trying to stabilize the ship. And sure, the weaknesses are apparent. We've got stunted character development for Djarin, a somewhat regressed Grogu, and pacing that feels distinctly like television. But the strengths heavily counterbalance all of that for general audiences. It absolutely succeeds as a visually stunning standalone adventure. You get a wonderful father-son dynamic, absolutely gorgeous practical creatures, a thrilling score, and non-stop action that doesn't require you to sit through 50 hours of supplementary Disney Plus shows just to understand what's going on. Ultimately, this is the perfect comfort movie. It's a magical, low-stakes entry point that doesn't mess with the Skywalker saga, but is perfectly designed to mint a whole new generation of young fans. In fact, multiple reviewers pointed out that they literally couldn't wait to take their children or their parents to see this. It totally captures the whimsical, pulp sci-fi spirit of early Star Wars without getting bogged down in intense galactic politics. It's essentially a giant cinematic toy box, meant to be enjoyed with a huge bucket of popcorn and a big smile. So we leave you with this final thought. While it might not rewrite cinematic history, is this incredibly fun, standalone adventure exactly what the franchise needs right now to heal its divided fanbase and welcome in a whole new era? To dive deeper into the Star Wars universe and catch our next explainer breakdown, make sure to hit that subscribe button, keep learning, stay focused, and may the Force be with you.